Good morning. Yes, Brenda, the door is closed. And I don't know if I'm live yet or not. Well, it appears that I am. Good morning, everybody. I don't know if I said that, but I must have said it off before I came online. And I was sitting there waiting for things to start, and I guess I was ahead of myself. Hey, Tina, you found a rock yesterday. What kind of rock? Let me quieten down the echo chamber. I just had that on so I could hear, so I'd have somebody to talk to myself. My own self. No, you said it, but I was talking to Chuck. Oh, okay. You didn't throw the rocket, Chuck, though, right? I didn't get my curtain unwrinkled this morning. I had weird things going on with my curtain this morning. It was crooked. It's probably really crooked now, but it doesn't look like it on the screen. I think this end's way up higher than this end, but that made it level across here. So I don't know. It's the angle of presentation, I suppose. But then down here, you can see that I've got big wrinkles, and I thought I had all that pulled out. It shows you what I get for thinking. It's not shale, I don't think, but it's black and it's split into three pieces like sliced bread. And you don't think it's shale, and it's not coal. Probably not up your way. I guess it could be. You'll have to send me a picture. Maybe we can figure it out. I know a rock doctor. I just don't work with her anymore. Washington is more north than Maine, though, isn't it? No, I don't. Why did we say that? Who said something about Maine? What did I miss? Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at it, Tina. Why are you asking about Washington and Maine? Oh, we have a visitor here. Let's see what we can find out today from this gentleman. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you today?
What be happening?
Well, Tina found a rock.
What'd she find?
Well, we were just discussing it. She said she don't think it's slate, but it's black, and it's split into three pieces like sliced bread.
Well, it's got to be shale or something like that.
Well,
Then
she didn't think it was shale, but that's what I was thinking. I don't
it's
know. Coal could be sliced. I've seen coal like that in layers.
yeah, and they're like how would you say that? So you go from coal to slate to shale, or coal to shale to slate, or they're all kind of seem to be associated with each other.
I see what you mean now, Tina. Okay, I don't know. I'd have to. Well, it looks like it when you look at this here latitude line of latitude. So yeah, I guess. Well, I thought
So
no, Maine has the most. We're talking about whether Maine is supposed to be higher or lower than Washington in the northern scheme of things on my map back here. Now, I think Washington is further north, but what I was thinking was Maine has the easternmost point, I believe. And you get way out here on this tip, and that's where the sun hits America the first thing every morning. She says it seems harder than shale.
then it's slate.
Yeah, maybe it's slate. That's right. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, you said that.
So what's that line on your top of your map? That's a line of latitude.
Yeah,
Right?
see this? Can you see that red marker? No, you can't.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe.
So I
Yeah,
think
I can. Yeah, Maine is significantly further south of that
yeah,
line than
this right
Washington
here is east. I thought I had it crooked.
or Montana, for that matter,
Yeah, part of it right out here anyway.
or Minnesota.
Well, actually,
Maybe
no.
it's the furthest
This whole line, I guess, is further north. That's what you get for looking at a flat map. When they told us the Earth was round, that changed how all them things look. And if we just had, it'd be so much simpler if we just stuck with the Earth is flat theory till you came to the edge, and then it might get kind of iffy. But that's where dragons are.
I just read a deal that said we live on a blue planet that circles around a giant ball of fire and has a moon that dictates what the oceans do. How can you not believe in miracles?
Well, I guess that's one way to look at it. Oh, I told him I used to work with a rock doctor. If I had rock questions, I used to always take them to her. But that's what I called her. She was a geologist and
Good morning, everybody. By the way.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that funny how my hand looks like it's deformed when
like this when you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, how's your life this morning?
Well, I'm still doctoring a filly, which doesn't make me happy. So,
oh man, is it getting worse or just not better?
Well, it was good, or it was going the right way, and then all of a sudden she came up lame on it, and I don't know if she's just being a sissy. That's what the vet thinks, is that she's a young horse and it hurts when she walks on it, so she's packing it.
Well, if she was a cat, I'd say she was looking for sympathy. I don't know about a horse.
No, they don't. She'd just soon I've left her alone, but I'm gonna have to catch her. And he gave me a whole suite of things I'm supposed to do until he can come see her, because we only have a vet one day a week. So
yeah, what day a week does he show up?
Wednesday.
Yeah. We all wish the best for her. Maybe
she's
by then.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. She's just packing that leg, which is not typically good for horses.
No.
If you remember that Gary Larson cartoon about the horse hospital, and the horses are all in there laying in beds with their legs up in traction, and all the doctors are walking around with clipboards and rifles.
No. I don't remember that one, I don't think.
They've all got rifles. They've just got their rifles on their shoulder, and they're like walking around looking at their clipboards. And then there's a curtain pulled, and bam!
That's not a pretty picture. Good morning, Shelley. I'm sorry I saw you come in and we were in the middle of that horse discussion and I didn't stop, but welcome. Good to see you this morning. Mike Cabral has joined us. Mike, I have a sad story about donuts and things.
Shelley said there's an app that you can get that'll identify your rock for you.
Oh, I need to look. I'll have to look for that. And another friend was trying. Hey, Doug, how's the party going, or the setup for the party going? He's having a sweet 16 birthday party today for his daughter. Well, I guess you could have a sweet 16 for your son, but I don't see that as often. Oh, he had a few minutes away from his orders. She'll pop back in. Don't worry. Once she figures out you're not doing something, she'll be right in there, Doug. At least that's how it would work at my house. Now I found out yesterday that a gang of my underlings, or my kids rather, are going to be here apparently, and they're going to shift around a bunch of furniture, and I'll have a new coffee bar by next week. I hope. I hope I have something. Brenda wants my table, and she wants to send me one downstairs. And another friend of Kelly's is going to take. Brenda has a cupboard. I don't know what do you call that thing, Brenda? It's like a desk, but it's got kitchen stuff in it on it, and she got it from her grandmother. So, and that's going to go away for a little while. She's trying to make room. She wants more room in the kitchen. I think she's trying to make room for a wheelchair for me. I should pay heed probably, just in case she starts walking around with a clipboard and a rifle on her shoulder. Credenza, maybe Tina. I didn't think about that word. That's a big old word. That's a big old word.
That not often heard in the South.
Yeah, I mean. And then again, I grew up in houses that didn't have closets, but I didn't realize that because we had wardrobes and chiffon and things like that, which I'm not even sure is a real word either. But Brenda says that's not a bad idea. See?
Lock the gun safe, brother.
Trust me, she wouldn't know. She don't know where it's at. Although that's not entirely true. I have too many hidey holes that she knows about that aren't in the safe. Armoire. Well, that's another word for it, for the bedroom type, I think. I don't know about kitchen furniture. All I know about kitchen furniture is you got a stove, you got a refrigerator, you got a sink.
We got a deal in here, an old Antiq that's got big round drawers, and the bottom of it was a kind of a potato safe.
Yeah. Oh, really?
But I don't know what you would call. It's got the bottom part that's like a desk, and then it's got a removable back that's got glass doors and things on it. And I don't know what you'd call it.
Well, you'd call the top a hutch, I think, but I'm not positive.
Well, maybe.
Brenda says she does know about the rifles and she does know the code, so I need to be changing that, brother. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm positive Brenda knows exactly where it's at, Tim. She's a wife and good at it. And that's not helpful, Tina. That doesn't make me at ease at all. I'm kind of sad this morning anyway. I'm got to the end of my Crazy Horse book, and it ended just like I thought it would.
Yeah, he got dead.
He got dead.
And his own people were holding his arms while he got dead.
Yeah, sad. In fact, one of the
guys that he went to war with regularly was the guy that held his arms.
That's and he foresaw it all.
Yep.
I saw a TV show recently that reminded me of this because I've been listening to this book. I laid it down for a little while, so to speak, because I was in the middle of reading, Southwestern stuff, and I have to focus on something like this. This is the kind of book that would probably take me forever to read because I'd be stopping and flipping back and stopping and flipping back and rereading chapters. But listening to it, I just have to kind of keep up with it. Of course, I have run it back several times.
Looking at the notes at the end.
Yeah, got
like
it.
Like an Eckert book.
Like an Eckert book. Eckert books used to take me forever to read because I was constantly doing that. And sometimes I'd go into it saying, I'm not going to do that today. I'm not going to do that today. I'm not flip.
But you got to.
Yes, you got to. And he had so many notes in there. I know there was issues with him later in life, but I sure hope most of that was correct. I think somebody got it right or close to right. Did you get told to sweep up or did you drop your rocks in the floor?
No, I dropped a bunch of darn sunflower seeds.
Uh-oh. We've had the sunflower seeds. You're not a oneer at a time, or you're a mouthful, right?
I'm a mouthfuller.
Yeah, me too. I knew somebody that was a one at a time eater, and I said, how do you do that? That takes forever. And how frustrating would that be? Brenda says,
I'm as good at it as a goldfinch.
Yeah. I can used to be able to load a jaw full up and just crack, eat, spit all day long.
Yeah.
In fact, I've done it till my damn jaw was sore inside from all the roughage. And that was back when I chewed tobacco, so it must have been harder on you. So my theory is sunflower seeds may be harder on your mouth than chewing tobacco ever dreamed of being. So don't get hooked on.
Dentists say that.
Yeah, I had a dentist tell me that one time.
No, I mean they seriously like sunflower seeds aren't necessarily good for your mouth. So
well, I can see that. Why are Brenda talking? She bets it was vanilla. Doug, what kind of cake did you get?
Cake.
Oh, her birthday cake. Good question, Mike. Thank you, buddy. I can always rely on Mike to ask the important questions.
He's always asking about the cake substances.
Well, he keeps us abreast on what's going on in the culinary part of our
in the pastry world.
Yeah, in the pastry world. Aurora ice cream cake would be delicious. Oh, I've never heard of that, Mike. You got one?
All right.
Oh, Mark, I need to. Mike should apologize, or maybe I should just warn you ahead. I told Mike and Diana the other night that they could pull their fifth wheel trailer down and visit you sometime.
Down to Wyoming?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're welcome. I got plenty of room.
Didn't you tell me you still had a hookup out there somewhere?
I don't have much of a head here. I mean, we've only got one head here in the house, but they're welcome. Yeah, I actually have a trailer on the property.
Yeah.
And we had one over on the old place, the place we moved from. And then we've got 3 actually on this place. So
still there?
Yeah.
I just knew you had the one. I didn't know you had 3. So you would have it. So there you go.
We've got 3 hookups and 3 septic deals,
See what Mike said. Dessert expert and Bigfoot expert guy from Canada.
Yeah.
That's a good title, Mike.
I like that.
What about stupid car expert?
We're gonna have to make him a badge.
Oh, speaking of stupid trucks and cars, how's the search for the new truck going? That's important when I talk about him coming to visit with his camper because he needs
a new pickup.
Yeah, he's got to have a new pickup, and he was negotiating the other night, I think.
To pull the fifth wheel.
Yes.
Yeah, so he needs a ton truck.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know what he's looking at.
What man doesn't need a ton truck?
That's true.
And I prefer flatbeds on that.
It's more useful.
They're
Just need to
they're
do some more
awful
research.
handy.
He says, look, needs to do more research, but right now it's looking more like a 3/4 ton Ram.
That'll work too.
Mike, are you looking at single or dual rear wheels?
Is it a diesel? Is it a Cummins engine?
Oh, that would be my choice, but I don't know. Up there, well, maybe up there, probably more. I don't know. Are diesels easier to find, Mike, in Canada than they are down here? Because, I mean, diesel trucks are here, but diesel cars and things, yeah, Cummins motor, yeah. I love to hear that turbine whine in there. Put your foot in the
And they
gas.
last forever.
Yeah.
Dad's is still like just.
Chugging
He's
along.
had it for 20 years now. Darn thing's still just like going like it's a new one.
I wonder how many miles it's got on it now.
Couple 100,000.
Does it really?
Yeah.
On the fence about a dually or a single.
And of course, you know, Dad's so easy on a vehicle.
Oh yeah, that's actually saying quite a bit for the truck, because your dad, no offense, but he's pretty hard on vehicles, or at least he don't treat them kindly. Let's put it that way.
There ain't no offense taken. He's way better to them than I am. I just think the damn things are from getting point A to point B. If they can haul my horse, I'm good with it. Other than that, they're of limited value.
Is yours a diesel?
No, I got a gasoline engine. But the boys got a diesel. We've got a diesel in the family that is here. Well, it's parked here at my house most of the time.
Gotcha. Doug says,
Since the horses are all here.
Mike says, we plan on doing lots of traveling across that country, so giving it some serious thought. Yeah, that's what we talked about that a little bit the other night, Mark. And I told him that's kind of what I'd planned too, but it hadn't worked out for me, so I hope it does for them. I'd love to.
Maybe here. I got a plan. I'm solving this problem right now. They're going down to. They're going to go down to Dollywood in Sevierville and Gatlinburg, and they're going to sweep to the west and pick you up. And then the whole bunch of you are going to come to Wyoming and hang out with me.
That'd be a good idea.
And we can have all kind of sort of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. My goodness, the things we could get into.
I took people just the other day. Some of my outlaws had to take them on a whirlwind tour of the desert and showed them crocodile skeletons and
cool
turtle shells and
speak to me. That would be so much fun.
And all kind of beautiful pronghorn, and we had a lovely time out in the desert.
Hang on a minute, I forgot to mention this. Some brownies with frosting. Brownies with frosting are always good, and that's my opinion. I know some people just like brownies, but pile of frosting on for me. I like them together. Tina says that sounds like a plan.
we got all kind of room.
You could put a campground in there, and we could just
I don't have a very big place. I've got 50 acres, and some of it's not habitable. But yeah, come on and visit.
So is Diana going to pick up the pull along house? I guess that's, well, Diana probably would be. But did I say hi to Diana? She's here, isn't she? Oh, my. Yeah, there she is. I don't know if I said hi. Good morning, Diana, in case I missed it. And Brenda wants to know if you're going to, Mike picks out the truck and you pick out the fifth wheel. I think Mike wants a picture of that cake. That's so he can put it in his book of ID. Mike's putting together a
And sorry, Brenda, I included you in my mind.
Mike's working on a bookmark. It's going to be like a Troy Peterson guide to pastries and other with photos and range maps and
This is where you can get a glazed donut, and here's where you can find the cream filled ones. And
here's the range of Krispy Kreme and
if you want like a Southern Ohio Amish made cream filled donut or lemon meringue filled donut, oh my God.
there's a bunch of Amish up on the plateau, Mennonites and Amish. But
now in Tennessee?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's lots of them down in there. And or up there. There's they set up fruit stand. What's going on? Mike or
No, you said oh yeah, there's lots of them up in there.
Well, there are quite a few. And
sound like an Andy Griffith episode. Oh yeah.
Well, anyway.
Oh.
There's always groups of them set up at the pumpkin festival selling pumpkin rolls and other pastries, and there's a group of them. These may be Mennonites. I'm not sure. I thought they said Amish. They have a sign on top of their little stand, and it says something to the effect of largest Amish donut or giant Amish donut, and they make donuts that are about this big around, Mike. Yeah. I mean, they're huge, and I mean they're great big. Oh, they're great big.
They're great biggins.
They can get you in so much. Mike, you haven't lived till you get with Mark and Tess. Right.
Love you, Brenda. You haven't lived.
They can get you in so much trouble, but they have so much fun. That's right. Oh my God, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious, Mike. Brenda, do you remember that? It's usually right there on the main street of Luttrell, or not Luttrell. Allard is the name of the little town. Spell funny. I can't even, it's like ALTHARD or something. Anyway, they sell these huge donuts on Main Street there. But they sell pumpkin rolls and stuff like that too, and fresh made fried pies. Now, they don't make Indian bread meat pies, but they do make fried fruit pies.
Are they fruit pies?
Yeah, apple, peach, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I have sampled quite a few of those.
So my dad's farrier is an Amish man, but he just recently moved to Wyoming.
So he's out there now?
He is.
Where did he end up settling?
He bought a place up by not by Meeteetse, up by Worland, between Worland and Shell, which is just southeast of Cody. Well, not just, but 50 miles from Cody, probably 60 maybe. And they found a place that was irrigated and they can make a living, doing what they do. And because he's pretty traditional.
How are they getting around?
Well, they got Yoder toters.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So they're not allowed to drive or anything.
Well, that's why I was asking, how do they move?
Even though I've seen a pile of them driving tractors and driving cars and the boys in particular, the young men are very car savvy, and most of them have one hid somewhere, as long as they can keep it away from Daddy.
Halt. Hold
but
it right there. Hold that thought a minute. Tina has mentioned something here. We got to explore this a little bit. Mennonites are often around and near Amish. They're usually on the outer fringe of the Amish because they're kind of breaking away a little bit. My granddad was Mennonite and went to church with the Amish. I'll never forget his funeral. Well, you can't say something like that, Tina, and not tell us a little bit about it. You just can't do that. So expound upon that. I had a 7th grade teacher that used to, you'd give him an answer to a test question or something, and then he'd look at you and put his hands behind his back or something and say, I expect you to expound upon that answer, Mr. Pruitt. Her granddad had a car, but there were buggies around too. Okay.
Well, from my understanding, and this is my simple view of the world, mostly based on a show that I watched with Mike Rowe, where he was working with the Mennonites and the Amish, and a Mennonite gentleman explained their faith is the same, but they look at the world a little differently. And Mennonites are allowed to have vehicles, and they're allowed to have electricity, and they're less conservative than Amish are like. And even that within the Amish community, it varies. They're not supposed to have telephones, etc. But most of the communities have like a phone booth that you can go call. And because they do all kind of work now, they're not doing just farm work. But the Amish are much more conservative and more traditional than the Mennonites, but they're the same exact people. Is that's my understanding.
When this
and Tina probably could tell me I'm full of crap.
Well, she might, but we'll see.
Which is okay. I mean, if I'm wrong, but that was my understanding, was that they originally were the exact same.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close.
Group of human beings, and they kind of diverted and so the big going back to donuts, the big bakery that's just like 5 miles from mom and dad's house that they have is owned by Mennonites and worked by Amish people.
Interesting.
So, and the Mennonite, when you'll see the owner in there and things, and he doesn't have a beard. He's clean shaven and wearing more modern clothing, and all of his employees are all, in traditional Amish garb.
Now, hang on there a minute. You remember, I don't know, maybe you weren't here then, but there used to be a store down on the plateau near Crossville. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was famous at that time. It's changed hands now, and I don't know if it's still that way or not. But anyway, they carried a lot of farming equipment and tools and clothing that was targeted or made available to the Amish and Mennonite communities there in that part of the plateau. So yeah, there were quite a few there, and you could go in there.
I don't remember them.
Well, this was probably, I must have discovered this later, but I'm
sure they could have been there.
Oh, they were there. I used to go in there. I bought some stuff there.
I just don't remember Amish and Mennonite folks being in Tennessee, but there's a huge communities of them in Kentucky and Missouri.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making like beautiful furniture and handmade furniture.
Well, they're famous around here for building barns and sheds that you can get and put at your house. They're wooden, custom built sheds.
They're for real sheds.
Yeah, they're the real thing. And I was going to say something. Now you got me off the set. Let me think here just a minute. You said something I was going to expound upon.
And Tina said,
she said you're right about the religion and that stuff, but and she also Mike said he had a buddy that married a Mennonite and he's Catholic. They're quite hilarious. And Tina said her grandmother was Lutheran. He'd drop her off at church and he'd go to his church. That's fun. And Tina also said
Lutherans taking the power away from the papal.
That's right. Hey, Dean.
That's why my people left Austria.
Clean shaven, but my mom
back in the,
upset
in the early 1700s because they were Lutherans and they needed to go.
He had to have his grandmother every Sunday morning had to iron his white cotton shirt for church.
That's cool.
Tina said their sheds last forever. Yeah, they're solid. I will say that anything that I've ever seen built by the Amish or Mennonites that I've ever looked at,
they're still using beams and pegs.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's built for real.
Yeah, and it built to last. They don't build it. I mean, they build stuff just like they were building it for themselves, and they build stuff to last. I mean, they're not going to be wasting time on something that they've got to rebuild every few years.
And I don't want to insult anybody, but I mean, they're really kind of gypsy-like. So a bunch of the families that have lived around mom and dad for, a couple decades now, they're all hunting spots to go somewhere else, just like dad's farrier. He's like, well, I need to go live in Wyoming now. And his wife is not a happy Amish woman. So they drove a guy from Ohio, brought him out here.
Yoder
they were looking around and they came here to the house. And Atlee and his son got out of the van. They were being toted around and Yoder toted. And
that's the real thing, guys. Before Mark's not saying that.
I'm not saying that for a guy like they pay a guy to haul him around, and he had a big old van, and they came on a grand adventure to Wyoming, and Mama Miller, so the farrier's name is Atlee Miller, and his dad's name is Atlee Miller, and her dad's name is Atlee Miller.
That's interesting.
And when they went to get married, the state of Ohio said, well, I don't think we can do this legally. But Mr. Atlee Miller, the older, and Mr. Atlee Miller, the younger, came here to the house, and they were wondering what they could farm here at 7,000 feet. And I said, not a darn thing. You get one cutting of hay and you're done. You're not going to grow any crops. There's no crops that are going to grow. You might, if you have a greenhouse, you can grow a little garden, but you're not going to be planting wheat and oats and whatever.
Won't nothing grow in Wyoming.
So the place that Atlee actually purchased the property in is only about 2,500 feet. So he'll be okay there.
And irrigated.
And I'm irrigated, but I'm at 7,000 feet. It'll grow my hay and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, true. You see what Diana put? She said she worked with a strict Mennonite late girl, and when she found out I watched The Last Temptation of Christ, she got so upset she quit. Said she couldn't work with the devil. That's when sometimes that's when I question this thing. Another squirrel. We're chasing squirrels, but
you're way squirreled now. Don't go down this religion squirrel.
I'm not, other than one. That's kind of what Diana said. It's kind of like somebody we knew said about the movie Lilo and Stitch. They wouldn't let their kids watch it because it was.
A
They said,
space alien.
well, they said no. Well, they said there was satanic music and stuff in it. They'd been told. Now they never seen it or read about it or anything, but that's what they'd been told. So they wouldn't let their kids watch it. However, they let their kids watch every other blood and guts and horror film I ever saw heard of. You know, they'd watch anything else, but not that. I got a good one here though. Mike said something about if Diana would let him, he would buy a couple of horses and he'd get the Mennonites to build him a barn. And then right down here, Diana said, "No horses, Mike."
Yeah, yes, I would like horses. They're not evil animals.
But she didn't say stupid horses, Mike, so you might have a chance, buddy. Tina said, yes, they never fall down on
I
sides.
think Mike needs at least 2 ahead.
Oh, yeah, at least.
You got your main one, and you got a spare, or you got your main horse and a pack horse. You're set. You can take a friend riding.
Or you got your favorite war pony, and then you got one you carry for back.
Exactly. You got one that you don't mind getting bred to a stud to have more.
That kind of thing. I'm not sure where it would have helped with the uniform, Brenda, but outfit, but maybe. You never know. No horses, Mike. That's sad.
Just tell her you'll take.
I have a question.
I promise I'll take care of them. I'll take care of them.
Yeah, I'll feed them. I'll clean them. I'll feed them. I'll water them. I'll clean out their stall. I promise.
I promise.
Mark, Mike said great ideas.
No, you can have bassets and horses. Think about it.
She wants to know how we're going to take horses traveling. Well, that's called a horse trailer. Basset hound or horse. Basset. That's a big choice right there. But yeah, you can have both. There's no law, at least in the States, about not
I
having.
have 5 dogs, 37 chickens, 7 horses, and a mule. You can handle it.
You can handle it. Okay, I have a question. Then I forgot.
It's rude to talk about how many livestock you have, but there you go.
There you go. Well, you probably don't have enough to get all the tax breaks that they're looking for. Not living in a horse trailer. Oh, Diana, you need to look at that.
You should see.
You should
some
see
of the horse trailers they make.
They build 5th-wheel horse trailers.
That the front 3/4 is a nice
living quarters. Nice, very nice living quarters. You need to look at that, Mike. We might have found a chink in the armor here.
We've made this work.
we have actually fixed something today.
Tim and Mark's therapy sessions. And I'm sorry if you have to come to us.
Okay, shut up. I got a question. I'm going to forget it again.
Shut up.
I'm going to lose the thought. How does the Amish farrier do business? Does everybody have to come to him, or will he?
Oh no, he would come out to the house, to Dad's house, and work on Dad's horses there.
How did he get there?
Yoder toter.
I didn't know if he would.
Actually, when he first became Dad's farrier, he only lived about 5 miles up the road, and he would just ride. He would ride a horse or take a buggy and come down to the house.
Now, that's what I was wondering, if he was taking the buggy.
He usually took a buggy because if he needed like an anvil and his tools, he needed something to haul it in. It wasn't like a buggy like
Right, I get it.
take to church. It was a
Work wagon.
it was a work wagon.
Yeah,
kind of
work
deal.
wagon.
But down the road he'd come, you know, boogity boogity boogity.
I've got to get back into this horse trailer thing, man. Dinah said, "Stop, please, stop giving him ideas." Then Mike says, "We got." He's so glad we're all on the same page. Well, some of us are, Mike. I don't know about the rest of us.
Exactly.
Me and you and Mark, we're a club here, but I don't know about everybody else.
But not, you know, we're not kidding. Some of these,
Oh yeah, we're serious about
some
that.
of these horse trailers with living quarters are amazing. It's like a big fifth wheel trailer, and the back end of it, the last 10 feet of it or so, is a, you know, kind of a drop the tailgate kind of a horse. You can carry a couple horses. Most of them are for two horses, and they were designed specifically for kind of the gals that do barrel racing, etc. So they're pretty snazzy.
Yeah, I mean, some of these rodeo people that have them live in them, you know, half the year or more.
Yep.
Traveling around, so they've somebody figured out a market there, and
we used to host and maybe we still will. I'm not sure where it is right now, but we used to do the junior or the high school national finals rodeo in Wyoming, and for a few years it was in Rock Springs, just east of me here.
Oh,
and we would go over there. Me and my buddy would go, and they have a huge trade show associated with the rodeo. So there's all kind of vendors, and there was a horse trailer vendor there, or a few of them, and they were all those living quarter type horse trailers. And we're like, hey, do you guys ever just sell like a stock trailer or like a half top where we could just throw some horses in and go and not need to sleep inside? And they're like, we don't even make those. And we're like, well, you're definitely not catering to Western, you know, ranchy people.
Okay, hang on. Stay with me here a minute. Here you go, Mike.
What are you doing?
You'll see.
Oh, no. Poor Mike. Oh, look at that beauty.
Oh, a Lakota model. And look at this puppy. I mean, isn't that's sleek? Hook right up. There's your cooking gas. It's got a big awning on this side, and you can put out your lawn chairs. I bet you anything there's a way to put a TV right here, Mike, so you can sit out under your awning and, you know, watch a football game or something. Put your satellite antenna up here. This is sleep quarters.
So the back end is an afterthought, and that's where your two horses go.
Yeah, I mean, see there's a shower and a separate potty. Well, you can't see the potty. Why can't you? Oh, there we go. That's the door hallway. They even got a hallway. I mean, kitchen,
hardwood cabinets.
I bet that's a fold out bed, so Mike can have a place to sleep when he needed to. Probably all the time if he bought one of these. And there's a nice big old bed. Refrigerator, freezer,
hardwood, laminate.
Oh, Mike, I'm sure it has a generator, but you could put solar panels on the top. That's no problem. They're very available. I've looked at them. All these people that work off grid and travel around in their little nomad trailers, they've all got solar systems, and they either set up on the ground outside, or they're mounted on top for full-time use. Look there,
Morning, Kay.
Look here, Diana, chrome wheel cap. That's styling, isn't it?
We haven't talked about anything of note yet.
Yeah, we have. We're getting Mike a horse trailer.
Look, there's where your horses go.
Yeah, that's probably got room for more than two. It looks like they've used a fair bit of
That's
the
at
truck. Yeah,
least
look at that.
that's at least a 3-horse trailer.
Yeah, that's what, two here and one there probably.
And you can put 2 horses and a mule.
And everybody should have 2 horses and a mule.
Exactly.
Oh, look, there's they've got the stalls or whatever you want to call them angled to make more room. I bet that might hold 3 or 4 horses. Look at that.
Well, you could throw a whole passel of horses in there.
Oh, you could have spares galore, Mike.
You could put your a whole remuda of horses in there.
Now, Mike, this is just one example, Diana. I'm sure there are others that would probably, and there's a place to put saddles, and you could have one for Mike.
Got your tack room.
You could tie Mike up back here and just leave him till you were ready to go home. Sorry, Mike. I'm actually trying to help you, Mike. I'm trying to give her alternative reasons. There's the tailgate and the back door. See how that's slick, how it folds up there. Look at that big old awning, Diana.
Look at that room. Yeah, and I highly recommend, Mike, that you go with Morgan's when you go with horses.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. You could imagine sitting in that shade while Mike's grilling some burgers and hot dogs over here. Look at all that room.
Petting the horses.
Oh, that's a nice looking awning, too. I bet that's
stretches right out there.
Oh, yeah. Could even be electric, but I can't tell for sure.
You could even go to South Dakota with that.
Well, look how convenient. The batteries are stacked there where you can get to them. You don't have to crawl in the floorboards. You got 2 propane tanks, and I bet you can get bigger if you really needed to be in the trailer a lot, Diana. I'm sure there's a heater in there somewhere. In fact, that's probably the heater right there. Man, I think we're on to something, Mike. What do you think? we might have solved you 2. Count them 2. Oh, there's an exclusive platinum package too, Diana. Did you happen to see that? Platinum. Now platinum is high living. Look at that beautiful Palomino horse standing there.
Right there by the Lakota.
Right there by the Lakota. Oh, Mike.
Lakota.
You got me wanting one too now. We could travel together, Mike. Look at that mother. That's got all kinds of rear room. That's a Charger horse trailer. Da-da-da-da. Steps up to the bedroom. You got an upstairs bedroom, Diana. Well, I mean, that's hard to beat there now. Closet space. Tiled shower. I should have gone. I should be a trailer salesman.
You should be a trailer salesman.
Look at that nice.
And over here you got your porcelain sink and
look at our granite countertop.
Granite countertop and stainless steel sink insert.
Stove, oven.
Nothing but the finest.
Stove. Oh yeah, that's a speed cook stove. That's probably a convection stove, not a microwave. I'd say that's got something to do with regulating power, Mike. More power. Oh, double stainless steel sinks. Bar stools. Mike, I think we're on to something, buddy. You got any friends that need to buy a trailer too? Here's Outback Customs.
You just started a brand new business.
Check that out. Look at that sink. I'm sorry, I'm going to get back on track here in a minute. Look at that thing. That is.
No, you're not.
I am too. I've got something I wanted to talk about.
What is that critter up in the corner?
Which one up here?
Huh?
That's a bed, and I don't know what else.
No, the critter up in the corner of your screen. What?
Oh.
Oh, it's a bear. It's a bear sleeping on a limb.
I wondered if anybody noticed that. I put that up there
I've
because
been noticing the heck out of it, and I'm like, what is that? But it's so tiny, I can't tell what it was.
well, I just want to see if anybody, because I overslept this morning.
Gotcha.
Look at this sink. I'm been fascinated by this seat that looks like
That looks like hand pounded copper.
It does. Look at that tile backsplash. Man, look
That
what a
looks
shower.
like something that who's the cook? Oh gee, my God. Who's the he buys that and he's living this single life.
Well, hell, we'll run around with you, Mike.
We could go on many a fine adventure.
Oh yeah, I would think
we'd just be like the damn Lost Boys.
I mean, and talk about luxury. Look at that.
Mike says, "Cool."
Look at that hardwood toilet seat. That don't get much nicer than that now.
It just doesn't get classier than that.
No, it does not. I mean, look at that thing. That's amazing.
I could see that. So back up a couple.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, or that. I could see that room like leopard spots.
Oh, there you go. You mean the couches and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
My goodness. Look at that. Angle. An angle love seat, Diana, for you and Mike to sit on and watch TV. Now, don't tell me you wouldn't enjoy that.
Oh.
We got to keep the little woman happy, Mike. That's a key thing here. Always remember.
Awesome, a wooden toilet seat. Oh, I'm crying this morning.
And Kane says that's an awesome rig, Diana. I'd tell you something.
Thanks, Kay.
I've sat on some really, really cold wooden toilet top, but unfortunately, that's been a long time ago. Mike, that comment had poor timing for
We're not getting horses.
Oh, Mike, four batteries. That's all. See, Mike was getting into this. It is nice, Kay, but Mike's dreaming. We're not getting.
So, Mike, here's a compromise: get mules instead. You don't have to worry about getting horses.
Mules instead. Mules are good. You can get some really good riding mules.
Just get yourself a couple of mules. You'll be good.
And that way you're not breaking the no horses rule.
Right.
All right. Let me come over here and how do I get rid of
if
this?
If you get two mules, you'll only break the no horses rule by one horse.
Yeah. Because you'll have a half of each. Is that what you're saying?
Because if you add them together, you'll have one donkey and one horse.
Well, you might not should have said that. Diana might have been swinging our way.
I slipped up. Sorry, Mike.
No mules. Oh my God, no
mules either.
Or you're kind of you're playing a hard game here. Mike, this might require us to get together, by ourselves to discuss this.
To talk off site.
Yeah, we might have to do some talking off site.
You can board them here, Mike.
I promise you, if we can get together with hard liquor, just a little bit of brown liquor, it would be done and dusted, as the Brits say, before anybody would know anything about it.
If you have to, you can board a couple here.
Kay says those little horses are cute. Miniature horses are really cute. Mike would probably need a bigger horse.
But they're not worth much.
Yeah.
Very small people.
Yeah, very small people. That's true. But they are cute. Brenda says that Diana could get more Bassets too. There's a thought.
That's okay.
She could even probably get some puppies. I'm going to set my show up here, so we'll run through this because I think we might have to get back to talking about Mike and his trailer. We'll take a break from that. Let it kind of simmer, Mike, and put it on the back burner a little bit, and let the aromas and the flavors of that life flow out into the kitchen, to the living room, and by the time we're done, you'll be in like Flynn, buddy.
How many Bassets do you need to pull a sled?
How big's the sled?
Like a regular sled, like a dog mushing sled.
So, that kind of sled.
Would you need 30 of them or 40?
I don't know. Well, they're pretty stout now. They're just
stout as heck. I just don't know how much.
The one problem I see would be breaking through, deeper snow.
You'd have to be out front with snowshoes making a trail.
Yeah, you'd have to make
at least the first run.
Simmer. Diana said simmer or fester. Simmer. I didn't say anything about festering. It would all be about simmering. Oh my goodness. Well, but imagine this. You're breaking through the snow in the middle of the Yukon with a toque on your head and
a team of Bassets.
Team of Bassets pulling your sled. On your sled, you got your beaver pelts, blues, and then they hit and you're just going along, and all of a sudden you're looking, and the Bassets are gone, and you're cleared off the sled because you're now hitting that shelf of snow that they went under. And they just cleaned you right off the sled. That might be an issue.
Might be.
They'd still be mushing on. Diana, we're gonna let that comment pass.
We're just gonna simmer.
We'll just let that simmer a bit. And like I said, Mike, we'll talk, buddy. We'll talk. There are ways. We might need to get Alexander in on this discussion. Would he be on your side or his mom's side? Just curious. So we're going to talk about music today.
We are?
Well, a little bit. And I thought this would be apropos because you're going to a music festival. Or have you gotten out of that?
I ain't.
Oh, you ain't going. Okay, good.
My wife is working at it.
Oh, she's probably already.
My son-in-law is running it.
So they're probably already there.
But I got livestock doctoring duties.
Yeah, good call there, buddy.
And which means that for the first time in several weeks, I get to be here by my lonesome.
I told Brenda last night that
and this hermit boy can breathe.
Yeah, I told Brenda last night if things didn't change pretty soon, you were going to be disappeared, and you might be gone.
I was going to saddle up.
Yeah,
go to the desert for a while.
I can certainly see that happen. Only thing Bassett be pulling is a couch. Well, we could put sled gear on a couch. Skis. So anyway,
Diana, I'm glad to see that your couch is covered with dogs too. Because mine is every day. I have to, every time I go in to watch a ball game or whatever, rodeo or whatever, I have to say, move over.
You have to clear a spot.
I got to clear a spot. And they're so used to it that they know my end of the couch, and they just like hop up and just kind of get in a smaller pile, and there you go. Well
trained. Tina says hers do too. Well, they do learn well. So anyway, Tina gave me this idea of talking about American music.
Bill Monroe.
Yeah, that's Bill This is Bill Monroe, and I'll talk about him in a minute because I have a special connection to Bill Monroe.
Really, I love that man's music.
So all the usual comments and legal things
and whatnot.
So what this was going to be about, and I didn't get to research it as much as I wanted to, but American music, and here's at least sort of three kinds of music, and that I talk about a little bit. I didn't put gospel on here, which that's another one. Whoops. But jazz was certainly is an original American music style. And if you
guys playing 5 different songs all at the same time,
yeah, sometimes. If you've never seen the Ken Burns jazz documentary, it's probably way better than you would think it would be. It's really good. It's
growing on me. It's actually growing on me. I think some of it's pretty cool, but it is a little helter skelter.
Well, I don't. As Henry Flange used to say, it's just free frap. And when it's like that, I don't care much for it. Now Phil's a big fan. He likes it. Diana says her dogs won't budge, and Mike says our male will move over, but the female, she won't move for anybody. You're not talking about Diana, right? You're talking about the dog. Just want to clear that up.
Oh, good. Go ahead and poke the bear again.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't do it. Sorry, Mike.
He was just about to get horses in a horse trailer.
And I might have just.
And you're stirring her up.
Okay. I thought this was a kind of a fun drawing because this is about slavery in the South and the music that the Africans brought with them, and including this little instrument right here, which became known as the banjo eventually. And of course, this is a country and western in the old days, or what was said.
Tina's dog will actually tell her to get out of the recliner. And when you say Morgan, I thought like you had a horse in the house, like.
She's talking about a dog, a hound.
A hound named Morgan.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, it's been one of those mornings.
And this is a picture for WSM, and this is a group, and I forgot.
I'm all dehydrated from crying.
Anyway, so we're going to just talk. We're going to hit a little bit on some gospel. I mean, gospel is a big deal monetarily in this country. This is Mahalia Jackson. She was famous for singing gospel music in years back. And actually, some of the black women that sing gospel actually managed to integrate some churches and areas where other people couldn't, but they probably, I don't know how she was treated otherwise. Ernie House and the Signature Band was another group. And actually, the Oak Ridge Boys, who were famous for Elvira, among other things, started out singing more gospel than they did other. And they, believe it or not, they started out in the 50s. I did not realize had been around that long.
And I don't recognize him outside of buckskin leggings and
that's why Mark and I kind of have a connection with Bill Golding, which is the beardy guy, and
we've seen him at Rendezvous.
Yeah, he used to, maybe, I don't know if he still does that sort of thing, but he used to come to rendezvous and matches, national matches, and walk around amongst the human beings and the regular people and just be kind of a normal guy. And he was actually a pretty cool guy, and
very cool guy.
But he was just, he just came out there and tried to be as normal as he could. But, it's hard at that time.
which is hilarious that you're saying that because they wasn't a darn one of us normal.
Well, okay, I put
But he
that.
was trying to be a regular guy that liked to dress up like he was living in the 18th century.
Yeah, for example. Well, I mean, not famous. I should have put it that way. But he was. This was back in I guess the 80s or late 70s when.
I'm feeling like some real anti-horse schism going on in here.
Well, I don't think Tina has a horse spot.
Can't have him here. Okay. Okay.
The Oak Ridge Boys were really, really popular at this time period when we used to see Bill at
They were at their peak then.
Yeah.
When Bill was coming to rendezvous and things, they were like top of the charts.
Yeah, and I think probably part of that was his way of getting away from all that was to hang out with that
bunch
kind
of regular folk.
Yeah, regular folk. Kay wants an Appaloosa. Mark says Wyoming people don't like Appies. Okay, I kind of like them, but that's just because I don't own one. Probably.
Well, we raised them when I was a boy. My dad loved them and raised them. We always had Appaloosas, and the ranch people out here say that the reason that the Nez Perce tribe was so vicious in battle was because they had to ride those SOBs. And by the time they got to the fight, they were so mad at their horses that they took it out on whoever they were fighting.
I never heard that part, but
little old short wispy tails and spotted lips.
That's true, Brenda. A lot of people, a lot of musical folks, bands, females, groups, a lot of them started singing gospel in their home churches and such. And further, hey Dave, welcome in. Space Mountain Dave can turn this. Anyway, that's a form of music that they kind of evolved from other things. They say technically they say Scotland is where some of the original gospel music came from, but I don't think we would recognize it as the same thing today because I think it would probably be much more solemn and much different. But because they were pretty strict when it came to stuff.
So what's that music type that's in Appalachia? It's religious music. They sing at churches. That's totally a cappella. I can't think of the name of it right now.
You think on that? I'm trying to think what that would be.
It's rural Appalachia kind of, and they sing. I think it sounds pretty cool, personally. But
any music like that usually does because they're usually.
I bet Shelley can whip out the name of that. It's almost like a chanting kind of a music.
Oh yeah. And Shelley's still in there.
Particularly common in Tennessee, Georgia, maybe Eastern Kentucky.
Probably.
I just can't think of the name of it right now. They've had it. It's been highlighted on movies like Cold Mountain.
Oh,
that movie that Renee Zellweger and What's His Bucket were in.
I can't remember which bucket was in that movie. Was that
it was the guy from England that does.
Okay. Bluegrass music is also it is okay, and Ireland both. I mean, maybe Scotland and Ireland actually, since they moved
they're the same people. So
And those are the people that moved here in our part of the country and that's kind of where it came from. I thought
Yeah,
some
so
of these,
the Scots Irish, as they called our people,
yeah,
were were actually Scots that had moved to Northern Ireland um, on the request of Robert the Bruce or the King of England, depending on which time period they came over.
yeah,
But they were mostly Scots, and then they ended up emigrating to the U.S. and the rest is history. But
and most of them are in the Northern Ireland part, which actually leads down the whole path of the Troubles and everything over there between the Protestants and the Catholics.
yep,
The British moved the Protestants in, the Church of England, and kind of to displace the Catholics. And I guess they had a lot of plantations and farms in that part of Ireland at that time, and or what they called a plantation, and which I'm sure was was a similar thing. But so yeah,
squirrel.
hey, go ahead.
I said squirrel.
Oh, anyway, I thought there's a couple of gospel groups you may or may not have heard of. I thought the Blind Boys of Alabama was interesting, and I'm guessing they are. And the Kingsmen were a famous gospel music, and then there was a whole bunch of ones that I didn't really find readily that used to sing around here. And when I was growing up on a Sunday morning, you would turn all you could get on TV was various and sundry different singing groups like the Mull family, for example, with Mama and Papa Mull. I mean, they were on TV here
Mom
forever.
and Papa Mull.
Yeah. Did you ever see them? You might
No,
not.
no.
Yeah, they were local to us, or local in East Tennessee, because that's what we got on TV. But there were groups like them that I, didn't see readily. So I could have searched that longer and gotten a whole lot more. But they were certainly famous. And then there's a Gaither trio, I think, that's real famous down here or in places for singing gospel. And there's lots and lots of them. I think might have another picture. Let's see. No, and then I moved into jazz. And this is what I remember from Steve or Ken Burns' show was that they say they think that they give New Orleans credit from jazz where jazz was created, but I've also heard people in Chicago argue that no, it started up here. So I think there's a little bit of tug of war between those two things. But if I was guessing, I'd almost say it came from New Orleans.
Sure sounds like it.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. And I just have a few people like Eubie Blake, may or may not have heard of him, but he was a jazz composer, lyricist, and pianist. Ethel Waters, I've got another picture of her too. That she was a singer. And that interesting thing about her, she did a lot of famous parts for, and recordings for songs that were in several famous musicals or performances on Broadway, like Stormy Weather, which I always thought was a cool song, and Supper Time, and it's things like that. She was the second African American to ever be nominated for an Academy Award. I did not know that. And she was the first African American to star on her own television show, and the first African American woman to be nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award. That's cool. I don't think I remember her show. That must have been in the late 50s. I don't know. Tina, do you by any chance? Not saying you're old. I'm just thinking you might remember, maybe. Maybe not. But anyway, and I put this in there because I thought this was interesting. This man right here that's got the trumpet, the second one over from the bass fiddle, or the next one over from the bass fiddle. Those Chicagoans like to claim things that aren't theirs. Look at the best pizza. I don't know about that either. But
You got the best pizza, Tina. The The thin crust is the best pizza.
This guy, Charles Buddy Bolden, is given a lot of credit for being a central figure in starting jazz, but they think this may be the only photograph of him ever taken. And while he was in a lot of music and started a lot of music and created a lot of music, he didn't write it down. My guess is he probably didn't know how. That's just my guess, and evidently didn't know. Didn't at that time didn't know anybody to do that. So a lot of
he didn't write any of his music down.
Apparently not, and there's no record. I think it said no. He left no written music. Like I said, I'm thinking that's because one, he did a lot, some of it by ear. You know, jazz is like that. But I'm guessing he just didn't have that ability. And he did play some recorded music right at the very first in the silent film area, but not much happened. So there's no known videos or audio recordings of him now, although he's famous in those circles.
Did you just say he was playing music in the silent film era?
Well, that's the time he was playing music.
So it was pre-sound.
yeah, basically. So there again, it wasn't recorded anywhere.
That's too bad.
That is too bad.
Wonder if he wrote "Is You Is" or "Is You Ain't My Baby."
I don't know. He could have, and we'd never know it. And this brass band, the idea of the brass band, kind of think started in New Orleans. I've seen a lot of these brass bands on probably TVs and movies, but people who live down there too have talked about. A lot of people have seen them play out a funeral or play. I can't remember how they do a send off of somebody who's passed away.
When they take them to those weird, creepy crypts that are above ground.
Yeah, that's just how it is in New Orleans.
When you live below sea level.
I can't remember his first name, but it might have been Paul Bliss. He's kind of famous for writing a lot of jazz down. So he recorded stuff and got a lot of it saved, and he's known for doing that. So that was good. And there's that Ethel Merman or Ethel Waters, whoever. And here's a close up of her. And I didn't realize I'd put this in there twice. So there's that, but you can see that Hubie Brown or Hubie, what was his last name? No, that's not true. Bolden. Buddy Bolden. I'm getting them mixed up now. And this gentleman over here is in an Army uniform, but again, he was known for writing down a lot of jazz or some jazz early on. And then this guy on the left is pretty famous for doing, that's Satchmo. So he was one of the most famous trumpet players, at least of that time. Mike says he didn't know he wasn't even born yet. And Tina's agreeing with you on something. I am old, but no, I don't remember.
That dude's a World War I guy.
Yeah. And I've got the info on him. I just don't have it pulled up in front of me right now.
So he wrote music down, or he was making music?
No, I think both, but he was, let me see if I've got the
collecting music.
Huh? What
he was collecting the music.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I thought I read. I can look that up. I'm looking for it right now. I thought I had him saved here so I could answer such questions as that. See, I wasn't prepared today. I didn't get things done right. I should be able to at least spit it off the top of my head, make up a good lie. I'm losing it, Mark. I've lost the ability to lie on demand.
On demand.
Come up with a tale. And I come from a long line of, men that could do that. So that's kind of a sad thing for me. And you guys.
I think that's Everett Jones.
Which one?
That white guy that collected the music.
You think that's Everett Jones?
It's Everett Jones. He just got back from France.
Oh, that's right. right after he was singing and playing over there.
Exactly.
Tina says she's sure I'm right. Somebody pointed out the other night they don't care if I'm right or not as long as I'm entertaining. Kind of what they said. Maybe not quite that way. Maybe the entertaining part wasn't there. And I just put these in there again. There's an old picture of a Dixieland band. That's a pretty good size one. And I've lost my notes here. This guy was another guy that had a lot to do with recording early jazz music and getting it out.
Well, that's Everett's uncle, but his last name was McCorkle.
Oh, okay. On his mother's side?
On his mother's side. He was on his mother's side.
Now we're going to move into something else a little closer to home here. And this is, while we got this folky music kind of thing from Scotland and Ireland, we sort of put our own spin on it. And I love this picture on the right for two reasons. One, that looks to me like that would be right out of the 30s. And although I'm not sure if that car is old enough, but it might be. And the other thing I really love about this, and I'd love to find this location, but this is in Maynardville, Tennessee, which is only about 10 or 15 miles as the crow flies from our house, maybe 20. About that. It's up around the lake, so I used to be in Maynardville a lot. I'd love to find this spot where they're sitting on that curb playing music together. And this is what you find here a lot with bluegrass and that kind of music is guys will get together. I'm sure all kinds of music are like this, but I've seen this a lot in my life because of where I live. But people will just gather up and they'll start picking. And there's festivals down here where about half the entertainment is actually wandering through the crowds and just stopping to listen to people that run into each other purely serendipitous or accidentally, or maybe they plan it, but most of the time it's not. And one of them will look at you and say, "Did you bring your fiddle?" Well, yeah, if you've got your guitar or your banjo or your whatever, and they'll just start throwing down right there on the spot. And and then you walk
and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be really, yeah. And you walk 100 feet away and there's another bunch sitting there. Somebody's might be plunking a real bass fiddle, or they might be plunking a wash tub bass. And
or blowing on a jug.
Huh?
Or blowing on a jug.
Or blowing on a jug, yeah. So that's got a lot of history in this part of the world, and these are different groups. There's something you don't see much today, and well, you don't see it at all in music unless you see them in churches more, gospel and stuff. And that's an auto harp. And that's what this guy's playing right here in front. I don't know how many of you are familiar with an auto harp, but I get it's kind of an interesting instrument. I mean, what little I do know about it, but I've seen them played a lot. And, they can strum it. This one looks like it's got, I don't remember if all of them have the button keys like that to play. But anyway, that's an auto harp. And then you got your prerequisites. You got to have some fiddles. You got to have a banjo, and you need a guitar. I mean, you got to have most of those things. And some people might say, well, you can do without one or the other. But to really be right, actually, there's something missing in that photo. Anybody know what that is?
Mandolin. There ain't no mandolin.
Yeah. No mandolin. And I've just pulled these groups in, and like I said, I've got their names somewhere, but I forgot to write them down.
Is that one right there, the bottom, that more modern pictures? He got a mandolin right there.
This guy's got a mandolin. Oh, wait a minute. No, maybe not. Yeah, I think he does. Oh, that's got a two.
It's gotta be.
That's a mandolin. I can tell by the strings.
It ain't. It ain't a dulcimer.
No, it ain't a dulcimer, but I got a picture of a dulcimer. Yeah, that's a mandolin. I've got a good friend of mine that plays fiddle, dulcimer, and a little guitar. I thought about trying to get him to teach me how to play the fiddle one time, and I just never did. He probably wouldn't have wanted to try that anyway. And here's some more groups of that same neck of the woods, and some of them are from, this group in bluegrass these days might have come out of West Virginia in my lifetime, but now this could be anywhere in the country. And this gentleman right here is Bill Monroe. Some people say the father of bluegrass or the king of bluegrass, or he's got various and sundry names, and he plays banjo, but he was really famous for his mandolin playing. And I have a tie to Bill Monroe. Not that he knows anything about that tie or knew, but he and my dad were in the Army together. I don't know if they served in the same outfit, but they certainly were in the same hospital. And I've got a photo of my dad in a wheelchair, I think he's in a wheelchair. There's not a couple of guys on beds, and Bill Monroe is standing there with him. I think he might have had a broken arm. Dad was getting his knee repaired, and there was various other injuries. And this was during Korea, and they were in a U.S. Army hospital near Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Yeah,
you might be able to verify that. It's either
New Jersey,
isn't it? Yeah. Mike said last Saturday we had a bunch of musical bands through our neighborhood, and we had 5 pieces, 2 pieces singles singing. It was a good time. Well, good, Mike. What was the occasion? Just thought they'd get out and play? Brenda wants to know what kind of neighborhood you live in, Mike. I'm not sure how she means that. But anyway, that's my one and only connection to Bill.
Sounds like there's wandering minstrels that live around there.
Well, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Or at least come through.
And this group over here, what was their claim to fame? They had a claim to fame, and I can't remember what they were now. Shoot. And I'm having a bad day here, guys. I'm sorry. I've got this stuff written down. I've got notes, but I didn't bring it all with me. I do have one coming up here, though, I think I can talk about. This lady right here, this is getting into the Appalachian type music, bluegrass. And a dulcimer was a fairly common instrument at one time in this part of the country, too. And it's a very simple instrument as they go. It only has usually 3 or 4 strings. It's a hollow body. The hearts were like sound holes or decoration. And I've seen quite a few people play these, and I'd like to have a good one. And this lady, let me see.
My father and I have built those.
Yes, you have. I started to say that, but I figured you could talk about that better than I could. This lady here in the not a good picture is Jane Hicks Gentry, and she sang ballads and stuff in the different locations around the southern Appalachian area, at least. I got those guys in there again, and I just put this in here, the clip art example.
What's that mean?
Let me see if I've got these guys, who these guys are at WSM. I thought I did. Oh, I got to back up and correct myself.
What?
I didn't see Penny, did you?
No.
Okay, I figured you did, but I just didn't know.
Beg my pardon me just a minute, guys. This gentleman here on the right is not related to jazz. He is a bluegrass recorder, and from 1980, he was born in 1892 and died in 1980, so not that long ago. And he was actually one of the earliest collectors of Appalachian ballads in Kentucky. He's from Kentucky, and he started going around and collecting things on tape in his lifetime. Now, due to fears of plagiarism and imitation of other collectors active in the region, Niles waited until 1960 to publish his first 110 recorded music pieces in the ballad book of John Jacob Niles. Well, that's cool. I'll have to look that up.
So he didn't have nothing to do with jazz.
No, it wasn't jazz. It was all about, he was out there recording bluegrass, and it lists a bunch of places where he was at. I was trying to see if I've been to any of them. And there's a map. There's a map on this page on Wikipedia that shows a lot of that area where this stuff came out of.
Well, how many places in Appalachia have you not been to? Or through, or
Through or near a lot, but
yeah.
where am I at? All right,
What are
here.
you doing?
Trying to catch up. I was figuring out I got off the wrong page, and I've brought these guys up because this was I like Western music when this came out, and these guys are the Sons of the Pioneers, and they were famous singers to begin with, and then they got hooked up with a gentleman out of Ohio who changed his name to Roy Rogers and Gabby Hayes, and they made movies together. And
Who lived like 20 miles from mom and dad?
Yeah. You remember his real name? I can't remember his name. I'm sure somebody does in here.
I know it. If you leave me alone, I might remember it.
Okay, I won't ask you. But anyway, they even did a movie one time called The Sons of the Pioneers, and I've seen that. I've seen that a couple of times. But I just love their version of Cool, Cool Water. I mean, you can't beat it. And then the other favorite thing I like about the Sons of the Pioneers is this guy right here, second on the bottom from the left. And that is Festus.
That would be Ken Curtis.
Ken Curtis, Festus Hagen, as some people might know him. And this is an early version of a mandolin. I'm not sure if these kind of still made and played. I'm not sure about that. And I can't remember this old guy's name, but he was an early fiddler that was known for, his traveling around and playing bluegrass music on a fiddle. And these are just other interesting, I thought, bluegrass clip arts that I found. And again, you see most of the primary instruments are right here. Now, there's one that goes more for country and western. That's a dulcimer, or not a dulcimer. Oh, come on, Tim. Think. A dobro or something. Most of them I knew were called dobros, but there was another name for them I can't remember. And there was actually, I've seen one that was called a steel guitar, and it was literally made from sheet metal, the whole thing, the body and I can't remember how they made the neck and stuff, but it was all metal, and it had an interesting sound. I saw a guy play that in a musical honky tonk up in Johnson City one time. And there's a bill for short. I forgot to throw that in there. There can't be often.
Yeah, Bill for short.
Well, a harmonica, as other people might know it. Bill for short.
And the reason we call it that,
you fill that in.
Because Andy Rooney.
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, I think so.
Was in a movie called Bill.
Yeah.
And he'd say, "My name is William," and he'd blow on his harmonica. Bill for short.
Bill for short. And obviously, we both saw that movie because we've said that for years.
We probably saw it together.
Probably did.
That's a Bill for short.
Mike, you should go on Instagram Live. That'd be a great show. I'd love to see that. I'm going to highly encourage you to do that before you set out traveling in your horse trailer, fifth wheel camp motor or home with a horse trailer in the back. Mike says, I've always wanted to play a musical instrument. My stub fingers don't think would.
As an accessory, the horse trailer part.
Yeah. That's just an accessory.
So
I've kind of got the same.
Roy Rogers' name was Leonard something Sly.
Yeah,
Leonard Sly.
Leonard Sly. which kind of makes sense that he would change that since he was always the good cowboy with the white hat. You wouldn't want your name to be Sly.
Right.
That'd be kind of like being the guy that tied nail to the railroad all the time.
Snidely Whiplash.
Snidely Whiplash.
Mike
Should be about
probably
3 or
knows
4
him
hour long
better.
event. You ought to do that,
Mike
Mike.
probably knows their family personally.
Who?
The Whiplashes.
Oh,
Mike does. Since they were in old Canada.
that's true. That might be where his love of horses came from. Dudley Do Right.
Yeah.
Mike,
Like
Diana
I said,
said
Mike, you can board them here.
we live close to downtown in this little pocket of character houses, big mix of low, middle, and high income, lots of artists, and it's very close knit. Well, that's cool, Diana.
Little pocket of
We
character.
have music. I mean, I could probably go watch some kind of music, mostly bluegrass, just about any night of the week around here. There's always little bands playing. There's a radio station here in town that's also on the internet.
No horses.
No horses. Now, where'd that come from, Diana? We weren't
Because
talking.
I said he could board them here.
No horses. Okay, well,
That's like care. That's like year-round care.
we don't we don't worry about the horses right now. That's for another day. We can by the time we get the trailer bought, then the horses will just be an afterthought. Mark, I was thinking I bet I could get a good deal on a couple of horses down there. Mark might sell you a couple and he has to board and feed. Anyway, where was I? No, I was talking music, and I'm just about done here. Walt Disney, for those of us who are also like the mouse, the Sons of the Pioneers did movie and an animated / live video or a movie called Melody Time, or one of the Melody Times. I think there were more than one. But the Sons of the Pioneers sang music for that. Now they sang background music, or their music was in the background for several Disney cartoons, like what's the one I like so much? I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Robin Hood.
Pecos Bill and a couple more. But I love their harmonies. I thought their harmonies were really good.
Me.
In this particular Melody Time had Roy Rogers, Dennis Day, the Andrews Sisters, Freddie Martin, Ethel Smith. That's on the other side of the spectrum. Sons of the Pioneers, the Dining Sisters. I don't remember them. Probably would if I heard them. And I can't read all the bottom ones, so they have lots of music festivals here too. That's cool. Well, I was going to say we have a radio station here in Knoxville that Phil and I refer to as the trailer station, because for several they actually operated out of a mobile home, a small drag along trailer up in a campground north of here a little bit, and that was their studio. And one end of it they call Studio A, and the other end I think was Studio B or C. I can't remember. It was all just like a 15-foot camper. This was all going on. But they played back then they played a lot of live music trailer, but they're famous for bluegrass, but they call themselves an Americana station. And if you're ever interested in some mostly old-timey music or bluegrass or that kind of stuff, or people who sing that kind of music, then check them out. They're WDVX. That's W as in Walt, D as in Disney, V as in Victory, and X as in X-ray. And if you type that in, it should pop right up, and you can stream their music off the internet, anywhere in the world. And it started out as a pretty small station, and by many standards, I'm sure it still is. But when they do fundraisers and they do things I mean, they're more or less a public radio station. And when they all other do other events where they have people call in or write in from, they have listeners all over the world now. It's amazing where they get calls from. People listening to them. So Mike, check that out sometime up in Canada and see if you guys aren't able to pick them up. But it's an internet station, or that part is, and I'm pretty sure I'll just do it here. I've done it. I used to be I have to confess, I used to be, well, they refer to it as a listener supported station now. I used to be a supporter, and I let my dues lax last year before. So I've got I'm no longer, but I really like their music. I have some good friends that play music on that station. Mike says, we rescued a cat and got him rehabilitated and placed in a full-time forever home. I bet we could do the same thing with a couple of horses.
We could.
You sure can, Mike. That's absolutely what a noble thought, my friend, to come up with that. I mean, that just.
I think that's an exceptional idea.
I've got to take just a minute. Let my heart stop. Mike, that touched me. I've got a tear in my eye. That's a really good idea, Mike. I bet you could do that and take them down to Mark's if you need to. And what a wonderful idea. Still trying, huh? We're working on it. I think this Mike is on to something here. Okay, Mike, I'll do that.
You can just come visit.
Anyway, that was Roy Rogers and them. And of course, and now I like this little quote here. It says, bluegrass has brought more people together and made more friends than any music in the world. I'm not sure he's got the stats for that, but he could be right. You meet people at festivals and their new acquaintances year after year. Bill Monroe. And he's right. I mean, that's what the guys I know that are into this kind of music on a small scale, if you will, because they go to these festivals and hook up with friends that they've known for years. They used to do one here it was part of the Smoky Mountains in Cage Cove community, which was it was an original mountain community in a valley there in the Smokies that has been, kept and alive and I don't want to say, how do I put that, maintained. It wasn't, they didn't change it. It's been preserved just like it was. But anyway, they used to have something they call the old timers days up there, and older folk that were from that part of the state and area in the mountains there that would come together there and they would play music. And my buddy Steve used to go up there and join in because they were always looking for, somebody always needed an extra fiddle player or mandolin player or something. Mark Shelley wants to know how far from Riverton you might be.
3 hours.
You west or north of you, or east or north of you?
Riverton's northeast of me. I'm southwest of Riverton.
Makes sense.
Other side of the Continental Divide over South Pass. So Lander's 2 hours away and Riverton's about an hour from Lander. So 3 hours.
Oh, Diana, thank you. She said she had a tear in her eye too. When we were talking about the poor horses. Where is that? I was going to put. There she is. Oh, Diana, I'm touched. See, Mike, she has a heart. It's really hard to turn down a poor suffering horse without a home. So you're closer to Cheyenne. No, he's on
the other way, Shelley.
What are you closer to? He's closer to Idaho than he is.
I'm closer to Idaho. I'm closer to Pinedale, Big Piney, Jackson. I'm not even remotely close to Jackson, but
Yeah, but it's on that. It's more or less that
but
end.
I'm on that west side of the state.
Yeah. And he's in the high desert country of Wyoming.
The Great Basin.
The great, well, yeah,
the high end of the Great Basin.
Which you used to tell me that made you guys, or at least parts of Wyoming, some of the coldest, even colder than Montana, because even though Montana's further north, it's lower elevation.
Yeah,
generally.
yeah, we average above 6,500 feet.
Yeah.
And in the entire basin, none of it is below that. And we're at about little below 7,000 here at the house.
She said she'd been to Pinedale. Her grandfather's sister lived there.
Yeah, so as the crow flies, if I could just take off straight, I could make it to Pinedale in about an hour and 15 minutes. But as the highway goes, it takes me about 2 hours. And I'm southwest of Pinedale.
Now, Shelley, he used to work out of Cheyenne, and one time he was in that end of the state. He worked in the eastern, I don't know what you guys called it, regions or whatever of the state.
Yeah, I was in the Laramie region and worked out of Grand Chugwater.
Yeah, Chugwater. Surf Bum John might be the only other person I've ever met that knows where that's at. I believe it.
Yeah, John knows Chugwater.
Yeah, he's been there. In fact, I think he told us
he's eating chili at Chugwater.
That's right. Was it Chugwater or
we don't have no speed limit if nobody's watching.
Is that what you doing the speed limit? Well, Wyoming at one time was one of those states that didn't have much of a speed limit, did they? Or maybe they weren't.
We've always had. Montana didn't.
Montana didn't. Okay.
When I lived in Montana, there was no speed limit. But an officer had his discretion.
Yeah, whether you were dangerous or not.
If you were driving beyond what he considered was safe conditions, you're going to get pulled over and given a ticket for speeding or for reckless endangerment or whatever.
That left that interpretation pretty.
Yeah.
Raw.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say something. Now I dropped that thought again. I was just getting ready to add something to what we were talking about.
Have to do with hunting?
Oh, I was going to. Yeah, actually, it's pretty close because it was a trip I made out there to visit you. I don't know if it was I've only been out there once or twice in Wyoming. I don't remember. Anyway, so I was trying to remember if it was Wheatland or Chugwater, but one of those little towns you took me to, and you wanted to show me, or you did show me, maybe accidentally, this sign that was in one of the little towns there, and the road was straight, and then all of a sudden it went 90 degrees. And there was a sign there that I can't remember now what was funny about it. It might have said curve ahead or something, but it was a 90-degree angle. And that was like the only curve bend in the road for some ways. Probably was two of them, actually, one going both ways. I don't know. That just stuck in my head. I can't remember where it was at.
So the road had to have been the road between Hawk Springs and Chugwater.
Okay. Well, that's maybe.
It has 4 curves in it. The entire length of the road has 4 curves. We only had one squirrel.
I don't
Oh, we
count
had-
them.
we had-
Oh, okay. Or no, okay. That probably saves a lot of counting, Shelly or Tina. I was going to ask. I bet Shelly's a horse lover. Shelly, what's your take on having a horse? I mean, good, bad, non-committal. You don't want to get involved.
She's a fan.
Well, thank you for clearing that up, Tina. I wasn't sure about that. I think that's probably got something to do with your pencil broke about midway through one day, and you realized there was just too many squirrels to count. We can get started, and it's like the great squirrel stampede of the 1800s, where they would just millions of squirrels would just run through communities and eat up all their vegetable gardens and their corn and whatnot, and just move on to the next. It was a real thing that happened back then, or it did happen back when the forest was unbroken for hundreds of miles around, and the squirrels would just come through and just eat up everything if they had a chance. I don't know if we ever really knew why that happened. I guess they needed food, and one area didn't have it. Oh, see there, Shelly's always wanted a horse. She didn't have the land. Now I have land and not enough money. Well, we won't go there right now. I mean, money's not the issue here.
I
Spend
don't
money.
have money, but I got a lot of horses.
Well, that's a fair point. So I say it don't take a lot of money, Shelly.
See?
Look here, Diana. I'm gonna put this up here just in case you didn't see me or hear me say it or anything, or in case you averted your eyes when you saw that she wanted a horse. Best experience with horses was in Wyoming.
They're handy friends.
You got birds, interesting birds outside?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, always.
Well, I mean, have you had anything really cool and new that lately?
The hummingbirds finally came back.
Oh, well, good. That was getting kind of.
I was getting pretty worried there for a while.
Yeah, they're way late too, aren't they?
Way late.
I wonder if
Yeah,
the weather.
And we've seen a handful, but not a lot, not like normal.
I
They
just
must
wonder.
have got hit.
They must
somewhere.
have. Well, poor things come up through from South America and Central America, and there's the weather they've been flying through this year has been pretty horrendous along that part of the country. They've had to cross through some pretty nasty stuff to get up your way.
Yeah. And Mike was
Did I
asking
ever tell you
if I
that?
had any moose sightings. I haven't seen one for a little while, so which is okay.
You've had your fill for this year.
Because I'm sure that they're coming back.
Well, you got some of the best browse in the country there local, so I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they're just like looking into the property all the time, saying, well, we'll just save that for winter.
That's off limits till fall harvest, winter harvest comes in.
But the weather was so messed up earlier, and the river was flooded. I would see a cow moose on the south side of the river, but she wasn't coming this way because the river was big. I mean, she could have, but she just didn't. And I haven't seen her lately. She's probably got a calf back in there somewhere, but we got lots of willows that they can. I mean, the whole south side of our property, 35 acres, is pretty much just a willow patch. So kind of hard to see them unless you go back in there. And we haven't done that much this year. The mosquitoes are so awful right now.
Yeah.
You really can't do a lot.
That's another problem with the moisture you guys have had this year.
So they flew over the little community that's next door to us.
Oh, pal.
They they hire a guy to come spray mosquitoes with a helicopter every year. And he's been here twice that I've seen. And one afternoon he came and sprayed, and he sprayed our irrigation ditch, and he sprayed town. And that evening, the same exact day, that evening, I looked out to the west where he had come from, in our western pasture, which is pretty soggy still. There were millions of mosquitoes hatching out of the grass. You could see it in the glow of the sun. It was kind of pretty, actually, but it was like, uh-oh.
It's just a cloud rising up.
And then the horses were running in circles, and oh yeah.
Shelley said you need some bathhouses, or somebody did.
I have 6.
Well, there you go. Mike says we have a coyote problem on the other side of the city attacking small children. A couple of weeks ago. That's unusual.
When I worked for Arizona, we had a couple of incidents of that.
Yeah. Shelley said you need bathhouses.
Like I said, we've got 6 bat houses.
I'm sure you've got bats.
And we have bats, and we have barn swallows and cliff swallows. And so they hired a trapper to go, yep. You gotta take care of them, or they'll take care of you, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. Mike, do you know if that's a government trapper or if it's just somebody that volunteered to do it? Or because down here, a problem like that would probably get our federal animal control people involved, and they'd be out there doing it. I don't know what Mark's going to say to this, but what I hate is when they have to start doing the cyanide, dropping the pellets out there from to eat. I just think that's too random. I don't know if anybody does that anymore. Well, I just read something about it, but
no, I'm sure they're still using M44s, which is what
they are.
The cyanide traps. And by law, they have to put out signs saying, hey, we got cyanide traps out here.
Dogs can't read, though.
And dogs can't read. And bobcats can't read.
Yeah.
And badgers can't read. And I have no use for them.
I've never liked that idea, nor have I ever wanted to be a part of that idea. They do something back here now, and they've been testing this for years, and you guys may do this too, but they pick different areas, I think, every year back here, or at least in some states, and they drop rabies vaccinations out for critters.
No, I've never heard of that.
But they've been doing it here. It used to come across my desk from time to time because they'd be crossing over our, TVA federal land.
Right.
And, there'd always be paperwork with it, of course, for, ecological studies and whatnot. But it was just all about vaccinating for rabies. It was for raccoons. Well, it was for raccoons and coyotes and probably more for raccoons, honestly, because back here, raccoons are a worse problem for rabies than just about anything else. And they've figured out. So, but if you can stop it in one area, that usually cuts it down in other areas here. Mike said, well, we have no bobcats around here anyways, but there's walking trails for families to use. I wouldn't bet on that, Mike, unless you got lynx. You'd be surprised where bobcats hang out, and you never know it.
Well, he's certainly in lynx country, or used to be.
Yeah. They may not be there much now because of habitat loss, but I don't know how lynxes are, but you know as well as I do that bobcats can move right in. They're just about as sneaky as raccoons or coyotes.
We had them, and I had to deal with them all the time in downtown Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean
They just ran the walls. All those homes down there are fenced off from each other with stone or some kind of privacy fence. And those cats would run those walls like they were tree limbs, and they were kind of a big problem and could be. They were good at taking people's house cats and little dogs. That was probably their number one
and
thing.
they probably controlled rodent populations too, but that's not what they got noticed for.
Yeah, they were pretty big. That house cats were high on their diet.
Yeah,
So,
oh, I'm sure. Another reason that's why you stay inside, isn't it, buddy? They don't want to get eaten by you don't want to get eaten by no bobcats. You'd be a damn mouthful for a bobcat. They might leave you alone. Black bears come into the city, lots of deer and coyotes. Mike, in your recollection, and Mark might know this answer better than me, but have coyotes been in your part of the world for way back, or is that something that's happened in your lifetime like it is here? We never had coyotes, well, not that we know of, until
Manitoba had coyotes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. They probably did.
They were a native critter. And now they got turkey problem.
What is the problem, Mike? Just out of curiosity, because I've heard we've actually had complaints about turkey down here. Growing up, I never saw a wild turkey until after I met Mark. And the first one I ever remember seeing, I believe, was in the Smoky Mountains. And it scared us all to death because it took off from the tree above our heads, and we'd never heard such a large bird. And we looked up, and there was there was a basketball floating down the ridge on wings. That's what it looked like. We had people complaining around here that turkeys were eating up all the masts and not leaving the white-tailed deer enough food and that sort of thing. So I never really believed that, but I don't know. Maybe they could. Some areas they probably could. We have black bears come here too. I just saw a picture the other day of a black bear in town. And I worked with a lady that she came into work one day and was telling me that she had a black bear in her backyard. She lived just right up the road from us then. And something was going on. I don't know if they had a dog then or not, but they looked out in their backyard and there was something that they thought was somebody's dog in their fenced in backyard. And it was about a 6 or 7 foot wooden board fence. And the next thing she knew, she realized it was a bear. And it climbed up in the corner over the fence, looked back, and then jumped over the fence and kept going. And that's right here in town. So Mike says, I believe they're native to Canada, but in the last couple of years, they've been seen quite often. Yeah, they're coyotes are very, very adaptable. And once they've learned how to deal with humans and avoid them, and by and large, and find places they could live within the communities, and we make that easy for them. Actually, they've moved right in, and raccoons are the same way in a lot of cities and towns where people never knew they had raccoons, and now they've got raccoon problems because they're getting in their houses and eating their cat food or eating their dog food. Of course, some of that's because other people are feeding the raccoons on their back porch and think that's just the cutest thing ever. I saw a picture on the internet not long ago, probably Instagram, where there was a lady or a couple and they had a wooden deck, and that deck was absolutely covered with raccoons. Mike and Diana may have a family crisis on their hands. Their son is vacuuming out his room.
Why is our son vacuuming out his room?
Maybe he's wanting something, like a horse, maybe.
That's what I think. Maybe 2 of them.
Maybe 2 of them. He's probably showing how well he can muck out his room to same as he would a stable.
So he can take care of a pony.
Yeah.
Couple of them.
Speaking of ponies, oh my God, I was watching Calgary Stampede.
Which is interchangeable with horse where I live.
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
Doesn't have to be a pony.
I showed this to Brenda last night. I was watching the Calgary Stampede, and they had wild pony riding.
I sent one on the Facebook.
Oh, did you?
That was from that.
There was 3 kids trying to catch. They have 3 kids, and they're all standing outside a chute.
Little Palomino looking pony. Yeah,
one of them was. Oh, I'll have to look for that on yours. I don't remember, but they had a couple of really good looking ponies in this that took off. And I'm not sure the idea was they had a mugger, which is somebody supposed to hold the head and kind of cover the eyes if they can. They got one person holding on the end of a rope, which is tied to a halter. And then the other person is supposed to climb on the horse
and ride it around the arena.
And but the funniest part about it seems to be, and I think the kids enjoyed this just about more than the fans did, and that's when the guy on the rope hanging on and the pony decides he's, by God, leaving town and just takes off like a bolt of lightning across the arena, and that kid's hanging on to that rope, belly sliding.
Oh, I saw that one.
And there was a couple of them that went, halfway around the arena, hanging on to that rope. He got up and grinning and just held his arms up like this, like, yeah. Like he thought that was more fun than getting on the pony, I think.
The one I sent on the Facebook was looked like a couple little gals and one boy, and they were trying to mug that pony down, and the mugger got like just sent flying out of there, and another looked like a little gal just jumped up on the back of that pony, just leapt up on it like a Lakota warrior, and took off riding that pony around the arena. And I don't think she was supposed to be the rider, and slid clear up to that horse's jaws. Was riding on the neck. and just was like, woo.
And that's the one I'm thinking about. That horse was bucking pretty good too, and she held on.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike says he wants me to buy a canoe.
Well, that's okay too, Mike.
Canoes are worthy.
Canoes are useful. They're a useful item, especially where you live.
And as Brenda points out here, canoes don't eat much, and you don't have to muck out their stall. So, I mean, there are advantages, and
you can tie them to the top of your truck.
In your trailer. In your case, your 5-wheel trailer combination, you can put that canoe right up on top.
And I highly recommend that you invest in a couple pairs of good tennis shoes.
Yeah,
because they make the best
canoe rack you ever did see.
They make the best canoe racks that you ever heard of.
Just to straighten out that story. Oh, Diana said she would allow a canoe. Well, that sort of sounds to me like you've got a horse problem, or prejudicial issue about horses here. Just to clarify that story, Mark and I used to I had a metal canoe, and when he'd come visit, we'd throw that thing up on top of my little pickup truck, and
which had a camper shell.
And to keep it from, sliding around and stuff, we'd put 4 old tennis shoes, a pair of old Chuck Taylors, and lay them up there. And that's what the canoe would set on, those tenor shoes. And then we'd strap it down front and back and off we went. And we could do that pretty quick too.
And it wouldn't scratch the top of the truck or anything.
Yeah, it wouldn't, or the canoe. Mike says,
Oh, cool.
what's he
That's cool.
has a really beautiful. Oh man, I bet he does. Probably a wooden canoe that somebody built and finished, unlike the one I started.
But he bought it from Hudson Bay.
Oh, from Hudson Bay. That is cool. How long ago, Mike? He just finished having it restored. Oh wow. I bet that's, if you ever get a chance to take a picture, Mike, send me a picture. I'd like to see that. I love those canoes. I'm guessing it's some sort of a strip canoe.
Probably a wood, yeah.
If it's really beautiful, I'm guessing it's a wood and probably a wood strip of some kind, and might have beautiful woven seats, for example. And
Oh yeah, like rawhide seats.
Yeah.
Like a snowshoe.
not too sure. I just know the stories are a little bit along those lines. You mean our stories or his stories? It's hanging up in the garage. I don't think he's going to take it on the Red River, though. It's a family heirloom. Yeah, I'd say so, Mike. I could get that. I can understand why that might not want to. You might want to hang on to that or keep it on. Certainly, keep it on milder waters. That was one thing about a wooden canoe. But then again, I never really figured out how natives kept their canoes float either when they were made out of birch bark. I'd really like to see.
They were constantly repairing them. That's how.
Yeah,
Because there were birch trees everywhere.
Well, true. And they could get pitch probably just
They
about.
probably carried pitch with them by the gallon. And I get the impression they were pretty careful with their boats.
Oh, well, they probably were because of that very reason.
They probably didn't run like whitewater or anything much.
No.
That's,
probably not.
remember up in the Boundary Waters, those portage trails that would go for miles around
Yeah.
that quick water.
And those were those trails have probably been in those lakes up there for a long time.
Thousands of years. Beat down moccasin tracks. We added more.
We added more because that's what we like to do. Oh, me.
I still remember carrying a canoe on one of those trails on one of those little lakes we snuck into and it was a long portage from one of the big lakes back into one of the little ones, and the moose flies were hitting us hard. And I was carrying Dad's aluminum canoe, and there was a rough grouse right there on the side of the trail.
Yeah,
drumming away. He was just drumming away, and he was just standing there. And it's like
they didn't flush off or anything.
They don't do that where we come from.
No, they do not. I mean, you might sneak up on one and see it drumming, but he's not going to let you walk up to him.
Not with a banging canoe,
Yeah, we were making noise. I mean, it wasn't like we were tiptoeing through there quietly.
It was shining times right there, buddy.
It was. Yeah, they were. Those were shining times. God, I wish I was fit to carry a canoe today. Mike, I think we made a point though, Mike. She'll allow a canoe, so there's 1 foot. We got to take it a little at a time, but we'll get there. A horse is just right down the road in your future, my friend.
I've got 2 boats here. I've got it's called a new canoe. It's a kind of a wide open fishing kayak.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Square sterned. It's pretty broad in the beam, so you can stand up in it, and really good for fly fishing and whatnot, and calmer waters. And then I have a 14-foot Old Town Pack canoe. And it's sure easy to carry, but it's kind of a one-person boat.
Yes, I do, Brenda. Is that open, or are you just sitting on top of it, or is it more open like a canoe in that middle area? Well, you
Which
said
one?
the-
Which one?
the one the kayak you're talking about.
The new canoe? Yeah,
The new canoe.
It's kind of got a shallow, I don't know what, cargo area,
Yeah.
but it's broad and you can stand up. I stand up in it all the time. And we have seats that slide in and are real comfortable. So you can, like an old person like us we could sit in it and not be hurt.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
And they're padded seats, and so they've got backs on them that flip up. And
that would have been nice.
but then I can, like, long as my wife knows I'm doing it, I can stand up. I'm usually in the stern,
Mm-hmm.
and I can stand up in it and fly fish out of it, and she can fish out of the front, but she's using a spinning reel usually. So
Good morning, Michelle, and welcome in. Yes, Brenda, there is a lady, Mark, you would love. Natahela. You would love this. Brenda, you remember her name? There's a lady online, and I think she's passed. She was an older lady, but she did public speaking I'm not sure why or what she did for a living, but she did something with that kind of thing, and I think for a living. But she was also quite a storyteller in the realm of, people that could do that for a living. And she had this great story about, they went to the Grand Canyon, didn't they, Brenda? She was telling this story. She calls her husband Left Brain. And she said that her neighbors, they had company one night or something, and they're all retired. And the neighbors said, we got some exciting news or something. So we think we're gonna go down. We're going for vacation.
Float the canyon?
For vacation this year, we're gonna go on a float trip down the Grand Canyon. And with, and they explained it all, it was going to be luxurious, and they had, tents.
Yeah, whatever.
And, this was all in the brochure, mind you. And, this particular trip would be like geared for older people, so it would be easier. All they'd have to do is set a rubber raft and ride down the water and enjoy.
All they had to do is sit there.
All I had to do was sit there. They had a guide in the back and do all the driving, and they could just sit there and admire the canyon walls and all that stuff. And
you're wet.
Left Brain said, "Hell no, he was no way he was going to spend 2 weeks or a week in a
rubber boat."
Well, before it was over with, she talked him into it, and they went out there thinking it was going to be like it was in the brochures. And it wasn't nothing like it was in the brochures. They put them in these rubber boats and say, those are the ropes there along the side. That's what you hang on to. And she said before they knew it, they were all soaking wet because they went through the first set of rapids. And then she went on and proceeded to tell how the whole trip went. There was no cots. There was no luxurious.
You got to carry out your own waste.
Well, that's coming. There was no luxurious bathhouses. And they learned that there's no bathrooms in there. And not only that, but you got to carry your own waste out with you, which really threw her off there. That was a tough one. But it was funnier than heck to hear her tell it. But you can look. You guys got a new dog?
Michelle's got a new dog.
So you now have 3? Or is that wait a minute.
70 pounds of busy.
That's the same one you had, right? I'm not sure now. I'm confused. I've never heard it referred to as Hannah's dog. Oh, maybe she just named him. He's very busy. Yeah, I've heard a couple of stories. How sweet, Michelle. Love the name.
I got a new one too. Nobody's met.
No, it's good. Yeah, have you? Yeah. Well, maybe. You
No,
might have held him.
nobody's met her. I don't
Huh?
think. Well, did anybody meet Penny?
Yeah, pick her up. I don't know if you
Well, I
got her.
don't know. I don't know where she is, so
Oh, I thought
I can't pick her up unless I can find her.
Oh, you were just chatting with Shelly. Okay. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to get in the middle of your conversation, Michelle. Excuse me. The Grand Canyon trip. Yeah, if you look that up, did she put the name, Brenda? Did you put her name in there? Yeah, there it is. Janine or Jean Ann. I guess Janine, that's a version of her. Anyway, Robertson. And look her up, folks, and on YouTube, and listen to some of her stories because she's pretty funny. And that Grand Canyon trip was hilarious. And kind of sounds like something I'd try to talk Brenda into, but so I guess now that it's been exposed for what it is, well, I'll never be going with Brenda. Oh man, I got a cotton mouth this morning. Yeah, Tina, I didn't ask for a weather check this morning. What kind of weather are you guys having right now? Hot? And Diane, hey, there she is. Can't whistle, too dry.
That's Penny.
Penny, hey Penny, or Penny.
Penny. That's my boat. This is my boat. My Penny.
My Penny. That's she's hold her up again.
Well, I am.
Well, I mean, so I can see her side. She's got a lot more liver color on her sides than I realized.
She's totally liver colored.
Yeah, except for
her
I
nose.
She
doesn't have any black on her.
Yeah, but I thought she had more white in places. But it looks like
she's a red border.
Red border
is what the vet called her.
Cool.
And
will she be long hair or short hair?
I'm not sure yet. I think she's going to be kind of flat coated like Hank.
Like Hank, yeah, flat coated. Right?
But she's 3/4 border, and an 1/8 Kelpie, and an 1/8 Catahoula.
Which is a strange.
They're all herding dogs.
Are Catahoula's herding? I thought, but they're bigger dogs, though, aren't they? I mean, the one
like Dad's got a Catahoula. They're
great
big
dogs. And
great big dogs. They hunt pigs with them, and they herd cows with them.
Well, the pigs is what I was thinking because Brad's had one. He had one named Bear, and he was a brindle color Catahoula, and he was a smart dog.
Diana asked how many dogs I have. I have 5. I have 2 border collies, a Chesapeake Heeler mix, a Vizsla, a purebred. Who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting somebody.
And the Vizsla was sort of quasi.
Oh, Boudreaux Campbell.
And Boudreaux Campbell, that's right. The Vizsla is a bird dog, isn't it? By bird, at least, yeah.
Well, she's a bird dog breed.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Michelle, she's out. If you mean Penny, she's just a couple months old now, or a little bit more.
She is 8 weeks old today. I think. Just today.
5. Diana says 5. You need another couch.
Plus, we Plus, we have 2 grand dogs here right now.
Yeah, they have those grand dogs quite often.
We do. One's a Chesapeake. He's walking through right now. He's soaking wet. He's been in the irrigation ditch apparently, and then a corgi. What is he? He's 3/4 corgi, 1/8 blue heeler, and 1/8 Australian Shepherd.
Known as a
And
cow.
so we're thinking about breeding him with Penny, and then we'll have the perfect herding dog, because all the herding dog breeds will be in one dog.
That sounds like an
Six,
idea.
6 of them at least.
Brenda, I don't know if I'm going to go get some food after the show. Michelle says you must be a professional training all these dogs.
You know, our dogs are pretty well behaved. I mean, we do okay. Our dogs have manners sometimes.
The grand dogs, however, just like grand kids.
The Chesapeake grand dog, he has no manners. The Corgi grand dog, he's going to be a good one. So
Yeah, he's still
we have 50 acres for him to run in, Michelle, and hundreds and hundreds of miles of BLM around us. So
they've got plenty of room.
we have plenty of room for dogs to run in.
Well, Penny, or not Penny, but the cowboy corgi, what's it? Crockett.
Crockett's his name.
He's not a whole lot older than Penny, is he? A few weeks?
Yeah, he might be 2 months. No, he's probably 4 months old.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's couple. I thought he was a couple months older than her,
Yeah.
or a month or so anyway. And Tina says 5 to 7. She says I have 2, sometimes 3, and I can't keep up.
We've had as many as 8.
Oh, you just lost
We-
one.
My
Rest your
my
boat.
wife said we had 9. When?
Oh, she's
Oh
still.
yeah, we had 9 here at the house at one point that 4 of them weren't our dogs, but
Mm. I thought
we've personally had 8 though, and we lost some to old age and
yeah, Jen and Brian had to put
the
their little
Union
dog down.
Pacific Railroad. God bless them.
Yeah. They
Brenda said that your son-in-law had a cat.
yeah, he's the one I was talking about, had the brindle colored one. It was so smart. He did a good job training him. He had good manners first. And they're strong dogs. They're not just and he had a tail.
No, that's not a dog that you can just. They have to have manners, or they can't be controlled.
Yeah.
And when they hunt pigs with them, you can't. I mean, they are so keyed in on what they do that
Target.
you couldn't pull a Catahoula off of a wild hog if you wanted to.
I thought his was a pretty good dog. I mean, he didn't hunt with it or anything, but it was for the size of dog and everything. I thought it was a well-mannered dog. He did a good job with
But
that.
in Oklahoma and Texas, in like the brush country, like that eastern Texas country,
Yeah.
they use them for cattle dogs, and they'll get those cattle out of the brush. You know, when they're bringing cattle in and working calves or whatever,
Half wild.
they send those dogs in the brush, and they're horseback, and they can get the cattle worked out to open country where they can actually do something with them. You know. Because a cow's really a pretty savvy critter at hiding from you and getting in spots that you can't ride a horse hardly. Well, your horse could go in there, but you're going to get scraped off.
Let's clarify one thing. He said they're horseback. He didn't mean the dogs. He meant the The Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys are horseback.
Yeah, she'd had that dog. She was about 13, wasn't she, Brenda? I think she'd gotten pretty old and cranky and was having some issues, and they finally they realized they were going to have to put her down, and so it was a sad day. But those days, if you have pets and you love your pets, it's really hard.
No. Which grand dog did you lose?
Momo, the Shih Tzu or whatever she was.
Was that Jennifer's dog or?
Yeah, that was Jennifer's dog. Kelly and Brad have not lost a dog since.
They've got poodles or something.
She's got a standard poodle, and she's got that little chin chin or whatever it's called. I think it's a Japanese, one of those little guard dog things that
Yeah.
not very big. And I don't remember. Did Brad just get another dog, Brenda? I don't think he did, but maybe he was wanting one. But yeah, Kelly got a poodle because she wanted to.
I can't even imagine life without dogs and horses and chickens.
No, I don't blame you. That's why I have to keep at least a cat around. I think
I just can't. I can't even envision. I'm sure it's a calmer life.
Some people seem to get along just fine without critters, but I don't know how they do it either. I've had cats or dogs all my life.
Just can't even.
And probably would have a dog now if I could take care of it better and do things with it. But I mean, I wouldn't mind having a dog and again, but I don't know what I'd get. I've looked at some dogs I'd really like to have, but some of them I just couldn't do them justice.
Yeah, I've got the big Chessie.
What's her name?
Where'd you go? That's weird.
Did you lose me?
Oh, there you are. That was weird. My computer just came.
Yeah, they do, Michelle. You're right there. That's the problem we face because of the cats or in our case. And Brenda's always said when they're gone, we're gone so we can travel. But that is an issue. I mean, unless you can board them well or have somebody come in that you trust take care of them or stay with them, it's hard.
We've got a whole stable of local kids that we will just pay one of them to just stay here at the house and take care of the animals when we're gone.
Well, that's good.
And we got a few of those that are trustworthy humans, and so we have that. We do that. We're going to have to do that in May or June next year. We're going to Africa.
Oh, are you for sure?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Just got an invite on a deal.
Uh-oh.
We're going to right where Botswana and Zimbabwe and South Africa come together.
Yeah.
On the Limpopo River. I'm already geeking out on it. So,
Well, I'm sure you are.
one time, it's my chance. I've always wanted to. It's my one chance. So I'm going.
I'm glad you said that because you and I needed to talk about books before this day is over somehow. We can wait till later if you want to call me back, but you and I.
So when we're off of here, I gotta go doctor a filly.
Well, that's what I figured, so I didn't want to say now, but later we need to get our ducks in a row a little bit. I haven't looked today to see if anybody else is paying attention, but there's so many good books in that stack.
Oh, we need to talk that side of books.
Yeah, well, we need to talk about the other books too, but yeah, we need to talk about auction books because You and I need to get a hold of some of those books. And my
Indeed.
daughter has an exciting, exciting for me and Mark anyway. She has an auction that's going, and there's some books in there that we would both like to have. So we're looking into that. But I didn't tell Mark I didn't want to get in.
We're very sad that we didn't know the family.
Yeah, we're very sad we didn't know the family. Yeah, they had somebody in that family had interests very similar to ours. They had to, or read the same magazines growing up.
Because their books, the books they own were books we would own.
You know, one they didn't have that I was surprised, and that was Roark or Roark, whatever.
They didn't have any Roark books.
I don't think they did, and I'm surprised considering everything else they had that they didn't.
They sure got a lot of Teddy.
Yeah, they got a lot of Teddy. They got a lot of, a lot of Teddy, and they got an Ernest, and it's anyway. They've got some really cool books. I thought we talked to somebody. Oh, I just found out. You know, I'm always looking for old books and things online, and I've got 2 or 3 places that I always go to. One of them's called Abe Book, ABE, like Abraham Lincoln, Abe Books, and Abe Used Books. I think maybe it's called.
I think I've been on that.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time, and then there's some other stuff. A lot of them are in the Northeast that do this kind that you find to do this kind of thing, because that's where there's a lot more antiques and books and things in those areas. And I think, but I found a new one, Mark. It's just right up the road here in White Pine, which is 25 miles from here up the highway. I got to investigate it some more because what was that called? Brenda, do you remember what I said it was? It's like, might be East Tennessee Books or something, but it's I got to see what kind of business they do. If it's a walk-in thing, or if they've got everything, you know, like a list. Because I got to look for. There's some books I'm still looking for that I can afford. That like I told somebody one day I collected things, but they allowed that I didn't have enough of them to be considered a collector. I said, well, that's because I don't have that kind of money. And they said, well, they thought that didn't make me a collector. And I guess I didn't agree with them, but
there you go.
There you go.
Well, there was a bookstore somewhere not too far from where you live now, I think.
There is. There is.
You and Philip and I went there one day.
McKay's.
And they had like all these Seton books and McKay's.
I think McKay's. That would have been.
I can picture the building. I don't know where it was from where you live.
Yeah, never mind, Brenda. I'll tell you later.
You didn't live there then. You lived in. I think you guys. I think you guys were still in Smyrna.
Oh, well, that would have been down there somewhere. Then.
No, and we made a road trip to Knoxville.
Oh, huh.
Because you had discovered the Holy Grail.
I tell you what, I did discover the Holy Grail at the University of Tennessee Library, and then I found out just a little too late that when they had used book sales, that sometimes they would take out books that had been on their shelves a long time and nobody was reading anymore, which I didn't understand, because what the hell's that got to do with it? But at the same time, books need love, so they need to be read. But I found out that, you know, they had lots of editions of different books of Ernest Thompson Seton at that time I didn't even know existed. And I was really upset. Found out that a couple life guys, professors, usually went over there the night before and toured the building and cleared out the good ETS books they had.
Yeah.
That's what professors do. Rat bastards. Anyway, all right, guys. Mark's got to go doctor.
I got doctoring duties to do.
And I got to get up and walk into the restroom I'm getting dried up pretty bad. So I think it's time to cut everybody loose and let these ponies run. So, Mark, let's talk later if we
Okay,
can.
buddy. I'll talk to you on the phone here in a bit.
Yeah, when you get through doing your thing there and get a minute to sit down. All right, you take care. See you later. Tell everybody we said hi. Tell Sean I hope the music festival goes well.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see. Oh, me too, Shelley. I'd love to go to that library. I might never come out of there. I just sat in there and read books and find another one and read another book. I used to do that a lot. I used to mark books in the library, the UT library, and the Middle Tennessee State Library. I'd go in there on between classes or something, and I'd find a book like that, and I'd just start reading it, and I would put a little piece of paper in it where my as a bookmark, and nobody else ever picked them up. So I just go back and get them off the shelf and go back to my spot and read a few more chapters. I was just amazed and thrilled that people didn't, read those books. Oh, well. See you, buddy. All right, guys, I'm going to call it quits. So everybody have a good day. Mike, we'll talk more about the trailer, buddy. We're going to fix you up. Diana, horses aren't so bad. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. I am losing my voice. And we will see y'all real soon. If not Thursday night, then next Saturday we'll be right here. Good morning, or good. That's not right. I'll say good afternoon and goodbye.